And good evening, and I'm live. And I haven't been live on this channel for like a long time. That's okay though. I have the chance now. We have here The Power of Now, as that one book said. This one spiritual book. Yeah, I don't follow that. No, so the topic here tonight is how the Democrats balance the budgets on the backs of the poor. And let me just tell you right now, this has been going on most of my life. I've known this since I was a teenager or so. Back in the 92 presidential election, George H.W. Bush and Clinton. Yeah, pretty sure it was that year those two were running against each other. Memory serves correct. And yeah, let me bring that up just to make sure. Election. It's Clinton and Bush. You know, the Democrats are all about taxing and spending, you see. And it's always about creating more special programs. And it is normally things that are intended to help people, or that they're intending to help others with, the poor, the underacknowledged, etc. But they have one standard MO, and that's to tax and spend, create new programs, create new bills to tax the public with, and then spend. Now we live in a Democrat-led state, California here. And I'll just give you several examples that it's just fairly obvious. Fairly obvious. Just basically even the sales tax. Now, in each municipality is different depending on the city and the city and the county. So in Los Angeles City and County, the sales tax is 9.5%. In Long Beach, it adds up to 10.25. San Francisco, 8.625. That's the overall tax you're getting at the cash register. Now let's contrast that with Wyoming, for example. Wyoming has 4% overall and 6% locally in Cheyenne. Okay, so that's a lower sales tax. Obviously, 6% is lower than San Francisco's 8.6%. And let me tell you, a person feels that, when at these different places, you can even feel like the tension in your budget, or you can feel the stress of your budget. Another thing that they have locally in San Francisco is the soda tax. There's been a sugary beverage tax in San Francisco for a while now, and it's just the municipality. It's not a statewide thing. So whenever I happen to be in San Francisco and I'm buying soda or any sugary beverage, I have to pay a tax on top of my sales taxes. That's a tax they add on top of the state and local taxes already being put on it. Okay. Then go to a restaurant in San Francisco and you're paying a health surcharge if it's a place that has more than 20 employees. The establishment is required by law to pay for the health care programs of their employees. So they have to charge the customers at the register again a health surcharge fee. And so you get that even at like Jack in the Box. Go to Jack in the Box and they have a rather transparent health surcharge fee on the receipt. I believe it's most restaurants, most places that have that many employees will have that kind of fee in their restaurant. And so these people are taxes that one has to pay. Even poor people, even low income earners, even single moms, even homeless. Every single person has to pay the sales tax when they buy stuff. Every single person, if they go to a restaurant, has to pay all these fees. If they buy a soda, have to pay these fees. And it all just adds up. You could, on the same receipt at a restaurant, have a sugary beverage fee, a sales tax fee, and the health surcharge, okay, all tacked onto it. basically. That's astounding. That's astounding. And everyone, even the poor, pays all this stuff. And we know in other states that are more Republican, they don't have that. Not, I know there's something involved here where California is also a very large economy, and these are huge financial centers. Okay, but I'm telling you, it is just the standard MO of them to do this to you, okay, and do this to us. It's just the standard MO. That is just how it works. That is just how it works. I tell you. You want to contend with me that California is not Democratic led state? We have a Democrat governor, Newsom. We have Democrat mayors in LA and San Francisco. So I have it right here. There's Karen Bass, Los Angeles mayor, a Democrat, and we have the person I always love to talk about, London Breed, Democrat, San Francisco mayor. Our two senators are Democrats, and that would be, well, I had it up before, and now I brought it down. It's Alex Padilla and the other guy. Yeah, Alex Padilla, and it's a man, but a woman, Feinstein. So we have two Democrat senators, Democrat governor, Democratic mayors. You know, it's just sounding to me during the pandemic that anyone was blaming Trump when the mayors and the governor were the ones giving orders to close down businesses and stuff. It wasn't coming from Trump. It's coming from your Democrats, the Democrats in the state here. If you were to have gone to other states during the pandemic, other states had different policies. Other states had different policies where they were not doing as much, or they were doing the same thing. I've heard stories, that was better in Florida, other places. I personally, went over to Nevada and stuff, saw that it was better at certain times, and just not as strict as well. It should not have been as well. It should not have been. So, but the Democrats are constantly balancing the budget on the backs of the poor is what they're doing, and not only that, they always have to be the scientists behind the glass. Like old pal Danny, the Democrat, wants to be the scientist behind the glass and assess the outcome of the experiment in social environments and a community environment, community areas. That way, no one should be interfering with this experiment and being generous or rather sociable and endearing or charismatic, with each other, because that would ruin the experiment of the Dems to see the outcome of how the Democrats' programs are working. They don't want anyone talking to each other. Actually, you're supposed to be on your phone, just strolling through your phone. You're not supposed to be actually talking to each other. That would interfere with the Democrats' experiment on things, so they can't, they can't see like what the outcome of the experiment was exactly, right? So it just goes on and on. Danny the Democrat thinks everyone has to bear their own load. Everyone has to tow their own weight. So if you happen to see me with my weight, if I bring my granny cart in and I happen to have an extra load because I'm performing that particular day, my musical performances, I might happen to be in a certain coffee shop or whatever, and you see my load or you see the stuff I with me, and you wonder who did it. It's the Democrats who are balancing the budget on the backs of the poor. It's the Democrats who are balancing the budgets on the backs of the poor. And they're doing so in the various ways that I described, on and on and on. And it's their worldview to not interfere with the experiment so that they can observe the outcome of what they're doing. So no one will personally usually interfere because they're indoctrinated by the Democrats in such a Democrat area or zone. Okay, if you want to get too charitable, too personally involved and helpful, that runs against the dogma of the Dems in their doing this to people and balancing the budget literally on their backs. Those bearing a large load. For those bearing a large load, the Dems say you're not to interfere with that because that would interfere with the experiment they're running as if they can do the scientific results. Am I being clear enough? The Democrats are balancing the budget on the backs of the poor, and that's how they're doing it, okay? So, okay, let me calm down a second. Gas tax. Also, we have that also in California. I read this older article from 2021. $1.18 per gallon of gas per gallon, $1.18 is taxes and fees in California. Okay, so we have gas taxes as well in this Democrat-led state. Now I know we had the governor, we had Mr. Schwarzenegger once was considered a Republican, but however, he was part of it. He was part of things here, so he's part of the culture and the culture and social norms of California. So now, old pal Dan has never reconsidered his position as a Dem because he's indoctrinated and he can't think differently about a scientist behind the glass. He doesn't think that anyone can actually help each other bear their load. He's never realized that that's actually unbiblical. See, because I have here in Galatians chapter 6, in the Bible, it says to bear one another's burdens. It says, okay, starting from verse 1, brothers and sisters, even if a person is caught in any wrongdoing, you who are spiritual ought to restore such a person in a spirit of gentleness, each one looking to yourself, so that you're not tempted as well. Bear one another's burdens and thereby fulfill the law of Christ. What? That does what? It fulfills the law of Christ? For if anyone thinks that he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Okay. I even have it now. See, that was NASB. I have it in the amplified version. Same thing. Brothers, if anyone is caught in any sin, you who are spiritual, that is, you who are responsive to the guidance of the Spirit, are to restore such a person in the spirit of gentleness, not with a sense of superiority or self-righteousness, keeping a watchful eye on yourself, so that you are not tempted as well. Carry one another's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the requirements of the law of Christ, that is, the law of Christian love. For if anyone thinks he is something special, when in fact he is nothing special except in his own eyes, he deceives himself. But each one must carefully scrutinize his own work, examining his actions, attitudes, and behavior. Then he can have the personal satisfaction and inner joy of doing something commendable without comparing himself to another. For every person will have to bear with patience his own burden of faults and shortcomings for which he alone is responsible. You see, so the worldview that I explained, that I believe Danny's view to be, is unbiblical. Okay, to say staunchly everyone must hold their own weight is not what the scriptures say. You were to hold yourself in low regard in comparison to others. Okay, it's to bear one another's burdens, basically. And that's the essence of that person's being a Democrat. The whole thing that I just explained. He thinks he can especially stand out, step aside, and step behind the glass like a scientist and just observe the outcome of many experiments. Okay, Dem. That's being a Dem for real. Seriously. Now, on the Republican side, they typically just say, okay, we hold the line here. We just preserve what we already have going on. We just hold the line. Just hold it right there. Like, don't move. Don't add more to the bundle that you're creating for people to bear. Do not add to the budget. Hold the line there, and we just conserve what we already have going on, basically. Now I know there's a long history of Republicans cutting, but I mean Trump cut a lot of stuff, and it happened to work pretty well until the pandemic happened. He created many jobs, and that's a matter of fact, before the pandemic actually occurred. So, oh yeah, and that reminds me of bring up, but there's a recent CBS News poll stating Americans' dissatisfaction with the current U.S. economy. A recent CBS News poll shows that 65% would rate the U.S. economy as bad, 29% would rate it as good. Okay, I'm just summarizing because they had a lot of interesting like poll items. That's a great deal of satisfaction with the U.S. economy. Biden's overall approval rating is down to 40%. It's been going lower and lower and lower. And Biden's approval rating when it comes to the economy is only at 34%. Okay. And that's on a scale where a high number means good. So when it says 34%, that's out of 100, where 100 would be the best. And 34% is a small number, meaning that his rating for the economy is not like that good, you know. So, and Biden, though you might like the person, he's a Democrat and he adheres to the Democrats' position, and they always end up balancing the budget on the backs of the poor, and that's what happens. So, I'm just going down my talk here. So, I said these Bible verses. Now, I had this idea. I was going to go down to my little village over in Southern California, the place where I used to be, on the east side of LA County, to my old friend and former student, David, and these two ladies that I know from there as well, because I had this good group idea that we could start a really good musical group together, you know. But I didn't want to seem like the big Republican, just going to sweep over and like try to help things when I'm the big rich Republican, and this guy is like, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't look right, right? However, the same thing, like we're all under the same thing here. We are all being taxed by we are all being taxed by the Democrats. We are all under this burden where these Democrats have been doing this to us for a long time. They're balancing the budget on the backs of the poor. And that's what's been going on. It's affecting all of us, not even myself, but my former student David and all the other people I know in Los Angeles County, as well. And the two ladies I've known and loved, true for them as well. We are all under this together. Okay, we are all under this problem. We're being overtaxed by the Dems. Okay, I'm part of it too. I'm not some big guy that's over and above it constantly. I'm subject to the same like garbage. Okay, and that's the thing that we're up against as we if we ever try to do this. We're up against even the Democrats because they don't want you starting something profitable. Even in this, California is known as being not a good state to even start businesses, and people move to other states like Nevada and Arizona in order to start their businesses. And this would be starting a venture that's supposed to be profitable. Do you think the Democrats agree with that? They want us to be relying upon their programs and their ideas, unless the idea came from them. Um, they don't want not behind you doing it because it was your idea, not theirs. You see, that interferes with their experiment because you found a solution that's outside of the box of what they're trying to do. Okay, some noise interference from outside. I am losing my voice on this point. So the Dems are doing this, and it's affecting all of us. Is what I'm trying to say. Now, if you want to talk about upholding the law, it is upholding the law for me and any of these people, David and the others, and the two ladies that I've loved to be talking, because the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. We have a Bill of Rights, which explains our freedom of speech, and that's upholding that, mind you, it's upholding freedom of speech. Now, I don't know how, well, also human rights as well. Human rights, because human rights also spells out the same freedom because the rights are from God, not from men. The rights are from God, not from men. You should uphold legal orders when it's based on true things. If it's based on untruth, it's time to consider possibly disobeying, what's in right and just going around it to talk with who you need to speak with. That's being a mature adult. Because why is anyone trying to stop you from talking with someone? Do you even know that you have rights? That people have the right to talk with each other? what's in the U.S. Constitution, in the Bill of Rights, and the freedom of speech in the First Amendment. That's where your right to speak, to where this comes from. The Democrats don't want people talking with each other all that much. Okay, for the reasons that I already explained, like earlier in this video, they don't want people talking to each other all that much. They don't want any program or idea that's not from their specific budget proposals or legislation or whatever they're trying to accomplish, the state, local, federal level, etc. They don't like it if even specific individuals like are able to rise up from their stature. Okay, because they think everything is like the constituency or larger groups of people coordinating together to get something done. They don't want to hear the individuals or small groups, ever accomplish anything. That's not according to what they want people to think like. So yeah, put that in your chimney with the smoke waft up. No, I didn't know how to talk about a group idea and how we're supposed to ever communicate, but I greatly fear that it is the Democrat and Republican divide. We don't have a clear understanding with each other that the Democrats are the ones who are trying to balance, not trying to, but they're actually effectively balancing the budget on the backs of the poor constantly. It's the many ways. First of all, the many ways I've already said, and there's many other ways that it is happening as well. Okay, many ways. But I think 20 minutes on this point was good, and I have said most of this. It is constantly, I'm going to repeat what I said in the beginning of the video, it's the constant MO of the Democrats in our country to tax and spend. All they do is tax you more for the new programs that they want to implement and put in bills, etc., and legislation. That's what they do, okay? What conservatives are always saying is that they just want to preserve what's already there. Don't add more, and we'll even consider cutting what's already there, but don't add more. We're just trying to conserve what's already there. And Republicans typically are in favor of keeping good systems that are already there in place, like libraries and museums and stuff, and the many cultural, historical things that our country has going for us are a good idea to keep usually. I never hear about anyone cutting something that essential, and when they do try to do that, I'm not usually in favor if it's something that makes sense. So it would be extremism to try to cut everything from a budget. That's really stupid. No one thinks to do that because most people have a balanced view, even Republicans. So I think to stop here, as I've said what it is I have wanted to say. So everyone have like a good night. Yeah.